If you think a train will stop if it sees your car on the tracks, you're right. It will a mile after it hits you. Don't try to beat it. Stats show you'll lose. Stop. Trains can't. Holly Saunders joining me. Top of the hour, I'm doing a new mock draft because there is a seismic move in the NFL. The Denver Broncos are out on Kirk Cousins. John Elway decided two things, one of which I'll tell you at the top of the hour. The other thing John Elway told you is, I'm not paying Kirk Cousins a boatload, and the Jets are willing to give him anything he wants, and the Vikings are willing to give him a better deal than Denver. That now changes dramatically the top 5 picks in the NFL draft. This is not a small story. This is a major story. Denver is out on Kirk Cousins. Elway's got his eye on a quarterback, and I'll tell you what that is, top of the hour. There is another move which I think is noteworthy. The Dallas Cowboys have franchise tagged DeMarcus Lawrence. Now, I started watching him last year about week, was it John, 3 or 4, and I kept saying on the air, the story of the Cowboys is not Dak. The story of the Cowboys is they have found their stud pass rusher, which every team in the league is dying to find, and the Cowboys went and found him. This kid is a tremendous talent. He's 25 years old. He had 15 sacks last year. In the first 7 games, he had 10. He is a monster. And the Cowboys have quietly, and they don't do a lot of things quietly in Dallas, okay? They just don't. Jerry's not humble. Jerry's loud and talks a lot, and he's the only owner who talks first after the game instead of the coach. They have built a really nice roster. They've got their offensive line. They've got a star running back. They now have a star edge rusher. They have head coaching stability. I really like their young corners. They're young, but they're good. They have 2 above-average linebackers, Jason Smith, who played well last year at the end of the year, Jalen Smith, and Sean Lee, who's tremendous when he's healthy. And the schedule this year is also very manageable. Detroit at home, Tampa Bay at home, Tennessee at home, and then up and down Carolina on the road, and Indy, and we don't know what we get with Indy, and Seattle's O-line against the Cowboys' defensive front. That's a winnable game. So last week, Jason Garrett went out, and they kind of babied Dak in the first couple years. They compliment him. They say nice things. And Jason Garrett came out last week, the head coach, and for the first time was critical of Dak. Now, why the messaging? And I'll tell you why after it, but here's what Jason Garrett said a week ago.
He's done a lot of really good things, but he can improve in every aspect of his game. His understanding of what we're doing, his understanding of what the defense is doing, how those fit together. Physically, he can get better. The way he gets away from center, his mechanics in the gun, the way he throws the football, his decisiveness, his decision-making. All of those things can get better, and they will get better.
Okay. It's the first time publicly he said, acknowledge, he's young, he's got to get better. Why? Because they knew they were going to franchise tag DeMarcus Lawrence, number 1. But number 2, I'm going to lay everything out here. And what team am I talking about? Good O-line, star running back, offensive-minded coach, defensive personnel good enough, elite defensive linemen, very good special teams. I'm not just talking about the Cowboys. I'm talking about what the Rams gave Jared Goff last year. My sources told me last year that the Rams believed when they acquired Sammy Watkins, the Rams believed they had good special teams. They elevated their O-line with Whitworth and John Sullivan. And they felt with Todd Gurley and Sean McVay that if Jared Goff couldn't take a dramatic step forward, they weren't going to sit around in Los Angeles forever. They're building a new stadium. Okay, they can't be boring and bad. We look at Jared Goff as bad year, great year, we're all in. When they went out and upgraded left tackle, center, and wide receiver, they loved their special teams. They loved their defensive front. They loved Todd Gurley. They loved their young tight ends. What the Cowboys are saying is what the Rams were thinking a year ago. Let me repeat that. What the Cowboys said last week publicly is what the Rams were thinking about Jared Goff. Okay, we've given you a team good enough to win a Super Bowl. And the Rams, without question, have a roster good enough to win a Super Bowl. They were just young last year. This Cowboys team does not have a glaring weakness. It's a salary cap league, so no roster is perfect. This Cowboy team now has top 3 O-line, star running back, coaching stability, tremendous special teams, world-class pass rusher, 2 above-average linebackers, and young, talented corners. They got better last year. They're missing a safety, which is not a huge component to a Super Bowl. You can win the Super Bowl without a great safety. They need a safety, and they need to draft another receiver, and I think they will with their 19th pick. My gut feeling is if he's available, they'll get Christian Kirk, Texas A&M, and they'll cut bait with Dez. So it's just very interesting. And when I look at what Jason Garrett said, and I look at this franchise tag by DeMarcus Lawrence, they're saying what the Rams were privately thinking. Like, we have a Super Bowl roster here. McVay, Whitworth, Sullivan, Watkins, Woods, Aaron Donald, Robert Quinn, great kicker, league's best punter. Stability now. Like, offensive-minded coaching staff. That's what the Cowboys have. So I think it's an exciting time for Dallas. I think they're a very predictable team. And I think Dallas has, I called Vegas this morning. Vegas has them at 9 to 9.5 wins. Vegas is not here for any other reason to make money. In that division where Philadelphia won a Super Bowl and where Washington's been viable, in the NFC, which has been loaded the last 4 to 5 years, they've got Dallas at 9 to 9.5 wins. That's where it's landing. So don't kid yourself. This team for Dak now, it's put up or shut up time. Big rookie year, surprised everybody, pulled back last year on efficiency. The pressure is on Dak Prescott. That's exactly where it should be. Put up or shut up time. Jared Goff, quietly, that's what it was for him. He delivered. Time for Dak too. Okay, coming up, we used to mock the mock drafts, but they're so outrageous, we made our own. We have a new one today. Kirk Cousins not going to Denver changes everything, and I have a strong belief where the Broncos are going. It's going to change the first round. That's coming up.